So if you grew up introverted, you're probably used to hearing all of the things I'm about to list off right now. Let me know if any of this sounds familiar to you. You need to speak up more. Why do you never say anything? Why are you so quiet? These are the things that I heard non-stop for honestly the first 20 years of my life. Believe it or not, the first time I remember being told this, I must have been around age 6. One of my teachers telling me, you're such a quiet pupil, Tom. You really should involve yourself more in class discussions. The same thing being written on my school report that went home to my parents. Tom is a reserved pupil, rarely participates in class discussions. He should look to involve himself more. Deep that, imagine saying that to a 6-year-old who doesn't even know any different. Hearing all of this stuff throughout my life, not only did it build up this image of myself in my head that I am just this shy, introverted person, that there's something different about me, that I don't communicate with others in the same way as everyone else, or I was just born with this quiet nature that is stuck in place for life, and there's nothing I can do about that. Not only that, but also feeling like this was all something negative. Hearing that as if this is something I need to change, something I need to work on. As if there's anything wrong with that just being like a core part of my personality. I think the world is very, I'm not going to use the word biased, but I think it doesn't really favor people who are like more quiet or reserved by nature. I feel like opportunities are almost limited for us. But I want to give you kind of a different perspective in this video, like taking into account that I really don't believe there's anything wrong with being the quiet person, with being a bit more like thoughtful, maybe the person who thinks a little bit more before they open their mouth. There's nothing wrong with that, and I honestly do consider that like a deep, fundamental part of who I am. But I want to give you a different perspective, because I believe there were certain other circumstances in my life that I only just started to realize maybe led to me developing into more of a quiet person. I'm not necessarily going to give you any advice. I'm just sharing my experience here to give you some things to think about, but hopefully you enjoy it and you take some value from this. Yeah, so all throughout school, I've told you kind of what it was like for me in my primary school years, being known as like this reserved pupil. In those early days, it never really affected me though, because I had loads of friends in school. I grew up in this like village community school where all of my friends lived like a few doors away from me, and I was friends with like every type of kid in my class. If you can even call them popular in primary school, I was friends with like the popular kids who did sports. I was friends with like the kids who liked, I don't know, like superheroes, kind of the nerdy kids. I had all of those guys in my friend group. And it never affected me, the fact that like I wasn't the loudest, most like attention-seeking kid in the class. But when I went to high school, everything kind of seemed to change, and this was where this like idea of being quiet seemed to like really start getting to me, where I really like absorbed that this was like something with like a negative connotation, and began to like shape my behavior really up until now. So I moved when I was like 11 years old to a different part of the country, closer to like London, which is known as like a much busier area. There's just like way more people in general. And I went from this school with couldn't have been more than like 80 people, to a school of like 1,000, easily like 1,500 kids there. And right from day one, it was just kind of brutal. Like being this kind of like small village kid, going from that environment to this large, scary environment with like, it feels like everyone's trying to kill you. I went to an all boys school. which was like very, very brutal environment to go through your teenage years in. And I kind of like understood the precedent very early on, which was basically like dominance. It sounds like a weird way to describe school, but you had to be like very dominant, like it was survival of the fittest. If you don't have the ability to stand up for yourself, whether that's like someone like tries to take advantage of you, someone bullies you, the only way to kind of fight back is to hurt them like 10 times as badly. And if you couldn't do that, if you didn't have like a comeback at all times, or you like didn't meet that aggression with like 10 times more aggression, you could very easily just like become a target. And unfortunately, that's what I was. I had my own problems. Like everyone was starting school anyway. Like everyone was joining new schools, but the problem was like half the kids in my class knew each other from their primary schools, and I was completely new. And I kind of just started to fade into the background a little bit. Like I don't think I did anything that differently from when I was in primary school. I just kind of like went a bit under the radar, but I didn't know any better. And I kind of got singled out for that. And the fact that I like didn't settle into a group of friends right away, I kind of drifted for a couple of years between friend groups, but none of them like really took me under their wing. And I kind of just became a target very quickly because I wasn't one of those kids who like would snap back after getting insulted. I hadn't come from that kind of environment. And yeah, I think people just kind of saw me as an easy target because it was that like culture of dominance, survival of the fittest. If someone sees you as like a way of advancing their own social status and you're not going to do anything about that, then it's just open season on you. And I remember the moment where I kind of just gave up on it all. Like, at first I thought this is like a good group of people. I remember like being optimistic when I was 12, like thinking, oh, I really like my class. And then everyone just turned into a complete cunt. And I remember this like conscious decision I made where I just gave up on everyone there. I found like a couple of friends, but other than them, I was like, I'm not making an effort with any of you anymore. I'm not going to try to talk to you. I'm not going to engage with any of you because you're all just out to cause me pain. And I also remember how much that spectacularly backfired on me because I'd been quiet before. And this is kind of what I wanted to raise. I did have this quiet nature, but I was almost forced into becoming more quiet as like a survival mechanism. Before I'd been quiet, but now I outright like refused to engage with anyone. I was put next to people. You know how like the teacher mixes up the seating plan lesson to lesson. You're not always going to end up with someone who's one of your friends or someone you like. I just got put next to people who'd maybe bullied me in the past, and I was like, right, I'm just shutting you out. I'm not going to talk to you for the entire hour. And I kind of thought if I just keep my head down the whole day, if I try to go unnoticed, then surely that minimizes the odds of me like just getting picked on. And this just blew up in my face. And it feels really cruel because this is when I really started to internalize that quiet means dislikable. If you're an introvert, you're awkward. You're weird. You're unable to communicate like other people. Because I came into school one day and someone just started calling me like the new kid. People would turn and point at me and be like, who the fuck is that guy? He must be the new kid. Are you new here? Who are you? Who are you? And the entire class just erupting with laughter. Suddenly this was the funniest thing. You know, I'm not going to say it's good, but sometimes you just kind of sit back and laugh as a way of like taking the kind of spotlight off yourself. If you figure people are laughing at someone else, then they can't be laughing at you. There was always like a few kids that my class would like pile in on, and I'm ashamed to say like I did laugh at them. And I thought, I never want like the entire class to pile in on me like that. Like everyone laughing all at once, this kid turning red in the face. But that kid became me. This joke just spread like wildfire that I was the new kid across the entire class. Easy ammunition for every single person. Not even just the bullies, anyone who wanted like a quick laugh out of their friend group. Point at me, look, it's the new kid. It's such a fucking dumb joke. And I don't necessarily blame anyone for this. Like, I understand this is just a toxic environment to grow up in, but this was like hell on earth at the time, but it continued to get worse and worse and worse. Because there was a certain time when I think we started studying for exams and they split off our classes into like different classes. So it wasn't just people who'd been in my core group, it was people from all the other classes. And it didn't take long for that joke to just spread across the entire year group, like 120 people. And bro, I'd had people coming up to me who I'd never even met before. Like the irony of this, people who I'd never met before saying, who are you? You're the new kid. I'm like, bro, I don't even know who the fuck you are. I don't know you. And life just kind of became like a living hell. Like, I don't know if it's fully coming out for me right now, but this just like honestly led me into quite a deep depression. And every single day, I just felt like I was under threat, that there was danger from every direction. I had people I didn't even know coming up and making fun of me. Every single day I was just in fight or flight, going into school, just feeling sick with anxiety, heart racing. And all of it came from the fact that I believed I'm an introvert. I'm a quiet person and there's something wrong with that. And I've been doing some learning about the nervous system. The nervous system being our brain and body's natural mechanism for detecting danger and threats in our environment. And I've actually learned that when some people feel like they're under threat, when they feel like they're in danger, and bearing in mind that your body can't distinguish between multiple types of danger, like it could be like a tiger hunting you, or it could be public ridicule, getting humiliated. Your brain sees that as the same. It's danger still. And you believe you're about to die. When people feel like they're experiencing that danger, what happens? One of the things that can happen is you actually become like even more quiet. Your brain kind of locks up. You become more awkward because all those times we kind of like get that brain fog, or we don't know what to say in a social situation. Oftentimes it's because our nervous system is so activated, it can't think about anything else but getting us the hell out of this potentially dangerous, life-threatening situation. So it reroutes everything you would use to hold a conversation. Your natural creativity to think of what to say next, your humor, your stories, your memories, all of these things that would make a good conversation just get rerouted out of your brain, and your nervous system takes over. So imagine I'm already dealing with this like identity crisis, like there's something different about me. I'm introverted, I'm too quiet to be here, to be a normal teenager, to get invited to parties. No one would want me around because I'm awkward. Imagine thinking all of that, and then at the same time, constantly being in danger, and with the knowledge that I have now, having these awkward behaviors that were not even my fault every single day of my life, not knowing what to say, tensing up, freezing in social situations, because I felt like there was danger from every angle. And that just adding to this proof that I built up in my head that there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with being a quiet person. And it's taken a lot of years to even like be able to come to terms with this. Like there was a time I couldn't even tell you about this bullying, let alone put it on the internet without like experiencing the same symptoms. Like it would all rush back to me. The tension in my body, the wave of anxiety, the nausea that I would feel before going into school every day. And it just led me to think, like, I took this experience with me into like my later years of high school, into university, even into some of like my job. And I kind of believed for ages that there's just something fundamentally wrong with me. That not only is there something wrong, inherently wrong with like being an introvert, but I'm an awkward person. When actually I feel like I was doomed right from the start. Whether I was naturally quiet or not, I had my teachers attach this label to me. And then all of the things that happened to me in school. When you believe that everyone sees you a certain way, you kind of start to believe it yourself. But these are not ideas that I created. These were ideas that were almost implanted in my own mind. And I'll tell you what, now that I started learning about restoring this like sense of safety to your nervous system. So imagine in social situations now, like I do consider myself a very social person. But when I get social anxiety, that's my body's way of telling me, this is reminding me of like a dangerous situation. I'm detecting some kind of danger here. In reality, there's no danger, but I'm just reminded of the things that I went through. I'm triggered by like memories that I've stored, that my nervous system has stored, and it's bringing this anxiety up as a way of like protecting me from experiencing that harm again, but there's nothing there. But learning about this now that I've like learned techniques to calm down my nervous system, it's almost as if like, yeah, I can acknowledge that there is like a quiet introverted side of me. I need to be on my own for like a good amount of time a day. But I can be like very loud. I can be very like high energy in social situations. But that part of me was being suppressed by the weight of like other people's expectations, how I believed other people saw me, and just feeling this like danger, this lingering danger all day, every day, which stops your body from being able to express your natural personality, who you really are. When you're with your friends, when you're with people you trust, no matter what kind of person you are around other people, with your core, most like trusted group of friends, you're probably like a very lively, open, warm person. You probably make jokes that you wouldn't make around other people. You probably like screaming, like you just don't. When I'm with my friends, I'm being goofy. I'm fucking shouting, I'm laughing like no one else can hear me. And I don't care how it comes across because I know these guys like trust me. I'm safe. There's no danger here. There's no repercussions for me being myself. And that's who I believe I really am. Who you are around your closest, best friends, introvert or not, that is who you really are. So I guess the point I want to get across is like, whether you're an introvert or not, think about like the extent of this like label, whether you've attached it to yourself or anyone else. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert, but have you kind of been, I'm reluctant to say it, but have you been through like traumatic experiences that have led to you almost like suppressing who you really are, suppressing your natural personality? Because if the answer is yes, I think we could all do with like working on this part of ourselves, like trying to identify these specific patterns. Anytime I feel social anxiety now, or like I have these like very specific fears, like because of what happened to me, where I was publicly humiliated over and over in class, I am scared of like putting myself in front of a camera even now, or walking into a room full of strangers. It just like triggers this part of my brain. But knowing that like I'm not reacting to what's in front of me. I'm reacting to this like old fear, this old sense of danger that's remained in my body. Having that awareness in itself is so powerful. And it helps like more than you could even know. But if you want to work through this problem, I'm actually offering free coaching at the moment. Very, very like low stakes. Just me listening to your problem, seeing if I can help you out in any way. I'm not charging anything for this. I genuinely just want to give back to my community and get to know some of you guys better. If there's anything at all relating to this that you want to talk about or any social problem, I'm more than happy to sit and listen and see if there's a way I can help you. So if you're interested in that, go to the link in my bio, book a free 30-minute call, and let's see if I can help you. Till next time, man. Take care.